that is? Ramona, you're still with us, right?
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
Case number 2020.
You were being really quiet.
What is it? 2020 1066.
The bottom of the page.
But do you know what account that is? Oh my
It is
God.
account 44406.
All right, I'm letting him in now.
They're here.
No, they're on the phone. Or he's on Zoom right there.
That's why I'm laughing.
He's in Zoom. I'll let you know.
What's his name?
Robert.
So I took a DNA test. I haven't seen the thing.
Maybe there are things you can take to stop that. Or
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Roberts, is Betty going to be calling in?
She should be on the other line now. Her kids helped her install Zoom last night, and they were supposed to be there at 2:15 to help her sign on that way, but they're not there and she doesn't know how to do it and I couldn't talk her through it. So
There's also a phone number that Zoom provides that she can just call. That it's an actual telephone number and it's more like an automated phone system. She'll get hold music and stuff and she can just stay on the phone. So
okay. Well, and I told her to dial in the number, the check-in number, and to ask whoever answered the phone to tell her if there was a different phone number she could call just to answer the phone. Has she called in yet?
Not yet. Well, I don't.
Well, let me go see if she's contacted our office.
Okay.
Not in the waiting room, so.
So who is the beautiful blonde lady at the bottom of the screen? That would be
Thank
you.
you. That's Ramona.
Okay. I didn't know whether you were somebody I'd spoken with, and it'd be good to put a name to a face.
Oh, and Ramona, maybe he was talking about me.
Well, I don't see another lady on the screen. I would speak to that too if I could see it. I don't see but 3 places.
Favorites now.
Okay. Need to be.
You should.
Do you see the meeting room?
Or can you see the meeting room that we're in?
I see, yes, what I see is I see the meeting room with a big picture of the Zoom on the wall. And then I see me, and then I see the blonde lady Ramona at the bottom of my screen.
Beautiful blonde lady, Ramona. You said she's beautiful.
Well, somebody criticized me for that, so I thought I'd better be careful. I didn't hear Ramona criticize me, but.
So Betty said that to Beth up front that she doesn't want to participate. She just wants to listen. So we're going to listen to it on YouTube where it's being broadcast as part of the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
It's really simple. Get to the link and click on it. It'll start playing video. It's live right now. So we'll wait until she.
Yeah.
She got it?
I talked to Molly, her daughter. She's doing it.
Okay, well, let's wait until we know that she's
Right.
seeing the
She's
slide.
on there.
I don't want her to have to skip back and forth.
Yeah,
She might get lost on it. So.
that's good. We have a case pulled up.
Oh, we're getting ready.
1066.
Okay. Just those.
Oh.
Ramona, did you hear me?
No.
1066 is the case number.
Oh, I've got it.
Okay.
Wait, but what I'm trying to find is, the affidavit. Sorry. I'm so sorry that we have, when we pull up stuff, it takes a minute.
I understand. Well, thank y'all for taking us early.
Okay, so.
Yeah, that's the purchase letter.
And where is his? At the end. Okay, so you're Mr. Frank Roberts?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. And I'm just looking at your letter. Okay, it's been retained.
takes a different picture.
And then,
Like 7 pictures, I think.
okay, awesome. All right, so we are opening up,
Is she here? Is she there? Well,
I'm just gonna go ahead and open it up. Can I do that or should I wait for her?
I would wait for her.
Okay,
Just out of-
so she'll know who the
Because we're
voices
early.
are.
Yeah.
You're right, you're right. So how will we?
There.
We have to like call her back or something, make sure she's, give us a thumbs up that she's hearing us.
But I don't think you'll hear because she's going in on YouTube.
Right.
Somebody's viewing on YouTube.
No.
Know that that 2 viewers is you and her.
I'll just have her
Could be
call in
you
when
and a
she
Chinese
sees it.
bot.
Okay. Wait like 2 more minutes and call her, or?
I just called now. Call you. Okay.
We can call
Did you
from
know the
this
answer
phone.
before you asked that question?
Well, we can call from this phone right here. Look, there.
She doesn't have the number.
Well, it might be on this paperwork. Right?
Look, I wouldn't have hung up. But I understand there's a difference between what I
Oh,
should
no.
do and what I would do. Those are two
Oh.
different-
Holy moly.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying, is the distancing thing makes it where it's like,
It's
it'd
very
be a real
awkward.
bummer if I get the last year in the nursing home. 10 months.
Oh, that's horrific. Maybe that was her? No, that was.
I hate to
her.
ask this, Amy, but in the beginning they were saying stuff about like funerals and stuff, like actually seeing bodies. Like they weren't letting, is that just like they're cremating everybody?
Oh, no.
Or that was just in the beginning before they kind of knew what was going on?
No, I don't think that's the thing. I think they just don't want to, when you do a viewing, get a bunch of people in the same room, they're crying,
They're
they're
not doing
sneezing,
you, they're not doing it.
because people are gonna get each other sick.
Yeah.
It's not, it's the attendees, not.
No, but I remember in the very beginning when they had so many, they were just
Oh, when there was so
cremating.
many.
The people who were patients, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant.
Some of
But
them,
she's
they
not-
didn't even know who they were. So.
She doesn't have COVID. She
Right.
doesn't have- The one worker there had symptoms. Turned out to have COVID.
Yeah.
It's like,
Hey, everybody say hello. They are listening.
great.
Okay, well, let me hold on.
Okay, so her
Just
name
double check.
is,
My name is Betty.
Betty, the property owner is Daniel.
Okay, everything's good.
Is Daniel R. Adams.
well, it says here Ken D. Adams.
No, you're looking at different.
What-
Daniel R. Adams.
There's 2 different cases for Adams.
Oh.
Who you have? You're looking at the wrong one. There's 1352.
Got it. And we're doing, oh, Daniel R.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You want the light on?
Yes. Actually, it's okay. Actually, I like
Okay.
being able to see on that map.
Okay.
Okay, so I am, I understand Betty, and I know we can't hear you, but I understand that you're viewing now on YouTube. So welcome. I'm Cindy Duck. I'm on the Appraisal Review Board. Kathy Hoffman is on the Appraisal Review Board, and Ramona LeBlanc, who you cannot see, she is on the Appraisal Review Board, and she is attending via Zoom. And then we have Eamon, who is the appraisal district representative, okay? And I am opening case number 2020-1066, and that's account number 44406. And this is 2 Davis Loop in Rockport, Texas. We are the, just so y'all are aware, which obviously that helps you be able to view it, this hearing is being recorded. We are the Appraisal Review Board that'll be hearing your protest. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience. In your letter with the determination information, it'll also tell you how to do the surveys. The surveys are voluntary. You also have the right to appeal our decision. The appeal information will also be provided to you via the mail with our determination. In accordance with Tax Code Section 41.45H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. So I just wanted to make sure, Mr. Roberts, that we have everything that you plan on using to show your side of the case.
I of course don't know that, Ms. Duck, because I don't know what you've got. What I sent was a letter with some exhibits and then some pictures, both immediately post Hurricane Harvey and then a couple of houses that have been fully restored.
Okay.
Other than my testimony, I don't intend to introduce any other documents. So if you have all of those, then you have everything I was going to use.
Awesome, and you have a very valid point that how could you know what I'm seeing? But
We do have everything.
but we do have quite a few records from you, and it appears that they are what you were describing. So so thank you very much for that. The ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest, and we are signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Cindy Duck, do solemnly swear I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Ramona LeBlanc, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F, and I'm signing to that effect, and I'm physically located in Texas.
I, Elizabeth Karazi, am notarizing Ramona's signature. I also am located in Texas.
I, Newman Burke, do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I shall present to your review board of the Aransas County Appraisal District is true and correct.
Okay, and Mr. Roberts, because we do have the affidavit where you signed, we are all testimony that you're giving must be given under the oath.
I understand.
Okay. Do you by chance hold a license or certificate from the Texas Appraiser Licensing and Certification Board?
I do not. I understood that both because I was an attorney and because Mrs. Adams appointed me as her tax agent, that I wasn't required to do that. And I do not have one.
Okay, yeah, and you are not. Okay.
You're just required to disclose it. That's why
You just have to tell us if you are. That's all.
I'm not.
Okay, that's all good. All right. In the packet of things that you received about the hearing, it had, the little time chart where, you get to present, then cross-examine, et cetera.
Yes.
This is something where you get to make the choice. Do you want to go first, or do you want the district to go first?
I would like to go first.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, sir, you have 5 minutes.
Do I need to be sworn in?
No.
No,
Okay.
On the form that you signed on the
Yes.
affidavit,
Okay.
it's
Well, if we're ready, the reason I wanted to go first, which is not normally what an attorney likes to do. He always likes to have the last word, but this is such a unique situation that I feel like I need to explain it to the Appraisal Review Board before it hears anything else. The single most important thing about this is that Danny Adams, who is now deceased, and his surviving wife, who inherited all of his property by virtue of a probate there in Aransas County, do not own the land on which these houses, they only own the houses. Aransas County owns the land, and there's a long-term lease from Aransas County to the Adams that runs until 2032. I have to tell all of you, as I told Eamon and as I've told Betty, I'm an 80-year-old real estate lawyer who's practiced real estate law in Texas my whole life. And I have never, ever seen a situation where somebody owned 20 houses and did not own the land they were sitting on. When you buy a house, you get a deed and you get the land that it's sitting on. These houses have been being conveyed from the Air Force to Aransas County, to original owners, and to Danny Adams by bills of sale, which is the same kind of document you use to convey a car title or a mobile home or a boat or a trailer. And to me, this is absolutely crucial in trying to value what these houses are worth, because normally when you look at a comp, you're looking at a house and the owner not only owns the house, but they own the land, they own the slab, they own the utility connections, they own the sewer line or the septic tank, and they own all of this. It's my understanding, and even though I'm this old, I don't have personal knowledge of this. I just did some research and found that this came about because this land is out at the Rockport Airport, that I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but whether you've ever even noticed that there's any houses out there or not, I didn't know for years that there were. But it's my understanding that the United States Air Force built these houses back in 1955, which makes them 65 years old, that they're wood frame houses, and that when they deactivated the base after the Cuban Missile Crisis, that they conveyed the land and the houses to Aransas County in 1965. Aransas County, I presume, did not want to be in the house rental business, and so they sold the houses, but not the land. They still own the land. And as I say, they've been conveyed a couple of times, with the most recent bill of sale being to Danny Adams. I've reviewed the comparables that the tax appraisal district put together, all of which, having looked at the account, having the various accounts, having looked at the ownership interest, it's readily apparent to me that every one of those owners own both the house and the land. So it's kind of our fundamental position that this can't have any comparables, and that the county appears to have valued the property based on comparables through a mass appraisal basis, and that's just basically an erroneous way to value the houses. I'll get into the values themselves in a few minutes. I understand I'm limited to 20 minutes, and this is a story that can't be told in 20 minutes, but I'll do the best that I can.
Wait, and
So,
Mr. Roberts, it's only 5, but she'll give you a few extra minutes.
okay. Well, that would be kind, and hopefully I won't need it, but it's nice to know that I might get it if I need it. So when we're talking about Mrs. Adams, you know, the tax code says the value is what a ready, willing, and able seller is what will sell for, and what a ready, willing, and able buyer will pay for them. And there's only 2 ways that a buyer can buy these houses. One would be to buy them one or more at a time and then move them. And I've prepared an exhibit that I don't know whether you have time to look at it, but it's some calculations that, assuming somebody was willing to pay $50,000 for one of these houses, and I just use that figure because it's valued at over $1 million, so $1 million divided by 20 is 50,000, and did some calculations that are on Exhibit B in your materials that I prepared and submitted to you. And it's an estimated cost of how much a buyer would have invested in one of these 65-year-old wood frame houses if they bought them and if they moved them. And as you can see, that figure is, by the time they paid house moving expenses, bought a lot to put them on, installed the foundation, installed utilities and all that kind of thing, it looks like it comes up to $109,700. Since I prepared and submitted this, I have talked to a house mover in San Antonio, Texas, to ask him how far off was on my estimates that I used. And he said I was way off, that it would cost about $30,000 to move one of these as opposed to the 22.4 that I used. And I said, what would you buy one of these for? And he said, considering the cost of moving them and so forth, I wouldn't pay more than $1,000 a house for them. That's not my figure. I don't know whether that's true, but that's my sworn testimony, is that's what a house mover told me. And so it just doesn't seem, you know, we can't believe that anybody is going to pay $1 million and buy these houses and move them and have over $2 million invested in them. As we've shown you pictures of what they look like, we've also sent you 2 pictures of what one of the 2 that have been 100% restored. Most of them have not been 100% restored, but there are 2 that are. The only other choice is to find a buyer who, one, would buy them in place, just like they are now, and get the county to allow them to assume Mrs. Adams' personal liability for that $620,000 lease payments that are still due and owing on that lease. Again, I have to rely on my real estate experience to say to you that I represent 5 different banks that make real estate loans, and to them, this would not be a real estate loan. For them to loan, say, $800,000 to some buyer to buy these 20 houses, and for the bank not to have a lien on the real estate that the house is sitting on, that in common terms just ain't gonna happen. It would be like somebody loaning money to buy a mobile home. And the difference being a mobile home is much more easily moved than any of these houses. So we don't think, if you look at the county's approach to it, that $1 million is what a ready, willing, and able buyer under the tax code is willing to pay for these. We just don't think that that figure is anywhere close. I guess I don't have time to go over the exhibits A and B in detail. If you have time to look at them and you have any questions for me about those, I'd be glad to look at them. Go ahead.
Speak again after the district. I'm going to give the 7 minutes now to cross-examine and present their information, and then you'll have an opportunity to speak again as well.
Okay, I'll just present our evidence. First, the property account number is 44406. A collection of homes that are rented out by the airport. There's about 20 homes. Not all of them are done. We have 50% completes on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, looks like. Meaning that they're not really rentable, they're not usable yet. The comps that we used were, there's 5 different comps. The comps, 4 of them comparable buildings, and that's the thing that's being comped. The land value on this property, I mean, this is quite a bit of land. It's pretty nicely, it's good land, but it only has a value of $19,800 because on these leases, the value is whatever the lease is. You know, they for some reason they do have to pay property taxes, even though they're leasing it from a taxing unit, which is the county. But they get picked up by the tax roll, and we don't really appraise the land. If we appraise this land would be worth a lot more than $20,000. But the value of it is $20,000 because that's what the lease is. That's how everything in the harbor works. That's how all the.
That's how much the county lease is to the property, to the Adams. Okay, thank you.
Yep. They pay the county $20,000 a year, and then they pay taxes on a value of $20,000. Why that is, I'm not sure. You know, as far as the ownership situation, I think I've said this before, it's my personal opinion that if a public entity wants to capitalize their land by leasing it, they shouldn't be taxing those people for property taxes. They pick one or the other, sell it or lease it.
Because they're leasing it and they're paying the property
And
taxes.
they're taxing, yeah, they're leasing it and they're taxing. But that being said, the land value is this artificial $20,000 that gets normalized with these comps. So the comps are, we're just comparing the buildings, that's all it is. The buildings are little, what we call 2FB homes, fiberboard sided, class 2, so 1 to 7, and 3 is the average. 2 is just one class below average because they're just not, they're necessarily bad, they're just square. They're just a square thing and a normal little house. Nothing really to it, probably kind of old, maybe not a lot of closets and stuff inside. The last sale comp, number 5, is a multi-house property that's rented. And these aren't fiberboard sided, they're little stucco buildings, but it's just it's a collection of rental homes, and it's the same sort of thing. And it shows that we're valuing it this way as well. The land, however, is $206,000 on that one because it's on Church Street. The land for the subject is only 20, so that's why there's a 186,000 is taken off the comp to account for that. And then whatever the result ends up being, it gets, obviously multiplied like 20 times. There's 20 of them. Renders a median indicated value of $1,006,441.
Assuming $1 million, are you counting the non-usable properties? You said there's 50% of them that are not.
Yeah, that's assuming that it's in the same condition, like to be adjusted to be just like the subject. If one of these houses sold in a vacuum, if this is the indicated value of the subject.
Wait, but what if half of them are or 10 of them are at 50%?
Then it's going to adjust 10 of those. So what
That's
it's doing is
all
it's
those
going,
adjustments are
okay,
done.
this house is not
Like
like this
these.
house because it's worse. It's got an extra porch, and then it does it again, and then it does it again, and then it does it again, and then it goes, this house isn't like this one because the subject's 50% complete.
So it's
So
done
adjust
that
that.
on all
Yeah,
of
and
them.
it's just doing it over and over and over. That's
Okay.
why the net adjustment on these is like 700,000-800,000 on each one.
Okay,
So that's where it's getting it.
okay.
But fundamentally, like what you're doing is we're comparing the sale of houses that are like these houses, but obviously there isn't a place with 20 of them that just sell. It's just very unique properties. You have to, part of your job as an appraiser is to compare apples to oranges sometimes. The equity comps are other properties that aren't necessarily sales. Looks like they're multi-house properties showing that we're same thing. We just pick up the land, we describe the building, we put them on the roll, a fee simple basis. That's what we're doing. The sales ratio report is for the preserve area, that little region up there north of the airport, but it's not on the water. And I'll just say that the impasse that we're at is not really necessarily a difference of opinion, but a difference of approach, I guess. So I'm just going to say something as a reality. When these are done, or at any given time, the property will get sold to somebody who's going to buy it and rent out all 20 of these houses. It's happened, like you said, it's transferred several times in the past. It is a saleable thing, and the entities will just be okay with leasing it to whoever's going to lease it next, as long as they're doing the same sort of thing. The land value is always going to be whatever the lease is. So it's possible to sell it and sell it to somebody else. When it does get sold, because we expect that this thing will probably get sold as soon as the repairs are complete, it'll get sold within a year or two. The state is going to come in and say, how did you value this? Well, it's sold for this. This is the value you should be at. And our argument that they have an unusual ownership situation, the response will be, it's not unusual. There's plenty of places in the county that are set up like this. and that's how it gets done. The land value is whatever the lease is, the improvements are done on a sales comparison and cost approach across the board, and that's what it is. So whereas I could, like the number that we're putting on this, it's almost like a special appraisal where you have like a farm. You know, all of St. Joe's Island is like, it's like $100,000, even though it's obviously millions of dollars worth of land, but because they're running cows on it, it gets assessed a value that's really low. Well, we're not saying that's actually 20 grand worth of land. We're saying that it gets put on the roll for $20,000. So it's like kind of left to the realm of what do I think this thing is worth versus what is the number that needs to get placed on this account, if that makes sense. Our market value isn't necessarily what I think it's actually worth. It's this number that has to match a sale or something like that. Because again, it's my opinion that the public entity just sell this thing or lease it and don't tax it, one or the other. I think they should pick a side because it leads to these weird situations. But for our part of it, the value that we put on it is kind of where it has to be. We have to. He's not disagreeing with us that a 2 FB house is the wrong value for a 2 FB house. Like, we're all okay with that. So where we're disagreeing is the assumption that the houses are not real property, that they're personal property and would have to be removed to be sold and should be valued as if they have to be removed. The state judges us and us here at the district, when we value property on these public entity things, we value them in place on a fee simple basis. They do get taxed on a fee simple basis, even though they're not fee simple ownership. That's kind of weird, but that is how it is. So I hope that clarifies where we're coming from.
And are they guaranteed, how long is their lease? How long will the county allow?
2032.
Yeah, it's a very long time, and the entities have proven they're really amenable to just re-upping it. They're not aggressive. It's not like bad to be leasing from them,
Right.
but he is correct in that they don't own the land. And it is, if you bought this and said, I'm not renting, I'm gonna bulldoze these and build condos, they tell you no. So there's a limited amount of use that they can tell you, no, you're not allowed to build condos. We're gonna tell you, no, you're leasing land from us. If we don't approve your project, you can't do it. So it's not like they have unlimited rights. They have limited rights. That's why their land value is only 20 grand. So the only thing left is the houses. Now the question is, should the value of the houses be as they sit, or should they be as if you had to take them off the county's land? And we are really required to value them as they sit. But it's a valid argument, one that we're not in a position to be able to make.
Could they take them off the land?
Of course,
Because
it's
the
expensive.
the
Like you said, it's
houses
like
were
30
there
grand.
though when they leased it.
You can move anything if you're determined enough. I mean, that's what he's saying. They're not mobile homes. They're built into the land. They have foundations. They have plumbing. But he's saying they don't own the land. You sold just the houses, and you didn't sell any amount of rights to the land at all. Then you'd have to get your property off the other people's land, which is the house. Hauling a house off costs $30,000. And what I'm saying is we have to value it as if it's being sold in place. As if because it is real property. They're not real property. So like I said, it's not an invalid argument. It's just one that we're not at the luxury of taking that
You
position.
can't change it.
I can't.
No. Okay, sir, you have 2 minutes to cross-examine and 2 minutes of rebuttal, so basically 4 minutes.
If I had unlimited authority, I would make the value of all these things zero. Everything on public land would be zero. I think if they're leased,
Yeah. The biggest points I'd like to make about his testimony is, first of all, it's not an assumption on my part that these houses are personal property. It's an absolute legal definitive fact that these houses are personal property. That's all they are. They're just like a wooden mobile home. They're not, so they are not a part of the real estate. So evaluation based on an assumption that their real estate is an indefensible legal position. The second thing is the assumption that Mrs. Adams, to put a value, all I've done in trying to present what a buyer might buy them for is to say that even the tax appraisal district's basic assumption of what she could sell them for if she was going to sell them is defective. It doesn't make any difference whether they're going to buy them and try to keep them in place. That can only be done if Aransas County consents to it, because Mrs. Adams is obligated on this lease. She cannot assign this lease without the consent of the county commissioners. And it's not a given that they're going to do that. They'd have to be satisfied that somebody was as financially responsible as the Adams have been all these years in paying their rent payment. So and to make it clear, we're not objecting to the leasehold value that has been put on the land. The land has some value because we're able to pay lease payments. And so we don't object to the $19,800. It's just the value of the houses. The other thing is the assumption that the tax appraisal district must value this on the assumption that Mrs. Adams is going to sell these houses as soon as she gets them completed is a false assumption. She has no intention of selling them. They lived off these houses for a number of years till Hurricane Harvey hit. That, combined with Danny's fishing guiding fees that I paid him a substantial amount because I love to fish with him. But her plan is to try to get these houses back in rentable condition, quit losing money on them every month so that she can have some source of income other than her Social Security. So them valuing them under the assumption that she can get this much money for them is entirely false in two respects. First of all, I've presented you evidence that there's no way any buyer in their sound mind would pay $1 million for 65-year-old frame houses that would either have to be moved or would still be wood frame houses. The other thing that the board needs to understand is just to get them back in this condition is Danny Adams had to take out a $385,000 SBA disaster loan just to get them back where they were in January of 2017. They're not making improvements. They're not upgrading. They're not building new ones. All they're doing is getting them back to where they were in 2017. I guess the most simple thing I can say about it is that I think that the income approach, if you look at that back in January 1, 2017, before Hurricane Harvey hit, they were valued at $327,550. And the Adams had a gross monthly income of $13,200, had the lease payment to make out of that, had maintenance costs, but did not have an SBA loan payment. In January of 2020, which is the value that we're looking at because of all the destruction, they had a gross income of $9,800, which is $3,400 less. And then out of that, she's having to make an SBA loan payment of $1,771. So if you look at it from an income standpoint, how could houses on January 1, 2017, valued at $327,550 with income of $13,200, how could those on January 1 of 2020, having a net income of gross income of 94 and having to pay an SBA payment just to get them back where they were before, how can those be valued at $1,073,000? You know, it just makes, it just boggles my mind. It doesn't seem just, it doesn't seem fair, and it doesn't seem right. I don't know whether I get another minute or two to make a closing argument or whether I just need to hush or what my time frame is.
Can I ask you something, Mr. Roberts? How many are still under repair?
I have that information right here.
How many are still under repair?
Yes, I'm looking.
He's looking under it. He's looking.
I think it's on Exhibit A, Schedule C.
Uh-huh.
There were 22 to start with. 2 of them were totally demolished and could not be restored. So
Okay.
that's 20. And as of January, they had 11 rented. So there's still 9 more to go to get them fully rentable.
That are under repair?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
A total of 20 instead of 22 now.
There's 20 now instead of 22. In other words, after she restores all that she can, she's only going to have 20 to rent rather than the 22 that were rented in January of 2017.
Okay, Kathy had a
I had
question.
a question of your opinion of value.
My opinion of value is that, and this makes the assumption that the 327 in January 2017 was a fair amount. Somebody, and I not capable, I know there's an income approach to evaluation. I know right now that there's a negative capitalization. So, one could argue that until they get repaired and they start making money, they have even less value than that. I know that the tax appraisal district on January 1 of 2019, when there were even few of them, that the tax appraisal district said they were worth $163,780. So assuming that those 2 figures are fair, then it seems to me that some value less than the 327, but more than the 163 would be a fair value, would be representative of what they're worth from an income approach.
Okay, Sarah, that's, your time is up. The district has, what is the district, where am I? Rebuttal. District has 2 minutes for rebuttal.
All I want to say in
Cross-examine.
rebuttal, I just want to defend, myself personally a little bit about 2 things. The fact that we are real property and the fact that we do have to appraise them as if they're being sold fee simple, even though they aren't, not all. That is, it may not be good, it may not be fair, it may not make sense, it might be poorly supported, but that is the reality that in this state, this stuff is still real property. This is the office of record. We determine what's real and what's personal, and this is still real property. I understand the bank wouldn't loan on it, but that doesn't make it not real property. It is real property, and we do have to value it on a fee simple basis. Again, I'm just saying that to point out, like, I'm not making that up. I don't even like it. I don't like the $20,000 fee because to me, it doesn't make any sense that they would be paying taxes on an amount that's derived from a lease that they are paid. It seems incredibly bizarre. It seems like a weird half measure that has nothing to do with appraising the value of the property or how much this person actually owns. The fundamental purpose of appraising property is so that taxes are applied based on wealth, so that a person who has a ton of stuff pays more than a person who has nothing. And this whole solution of taxing people on their lease amount is completely off the reservation from that intention. So the reason this got affected was because we went through our entities. They had us go through all their leases after the storm and get it straightened out. And there's still a lot of straightening out that has to be done as far as getting the land values correct for what the lease amount currently is. And that was when this got changed. And so, yeah, it was a much, much lower number before, but it's not a safe assumption to say that the value was correct in 2017. It's kind of never been correct. Again, that the value is, I'm telling you, the value of this is either a fair taxable assessment should be 0, or its actual fee simple market value is probably over $2 million. It's like, if you owned all this land and all these houses, that would be a wonderful asset, but she doesn't. So we end up at this weird middle ground. And anyways, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to put one over on anybody. But that is how it is. These do have to stay as real property, and they get valued on a fee simple basis.
Answer one question.
Yeah.
Why, I understand you were comparing it to similar properties. I'm confused, not confused, but like some justification is why it went from 437 to $1,190,000.
Because nobody here at this office was trying to jack up the value of this property. So as long as it just stays pat, nothing happens. But so much has happened to the airport after Harvey that all the leases got looked at, everything got updated, and when all the accounts got a fine tooth comb, this reevaluated. It's like, this isn't equitable. Houses aren't described correctly. This is like, they were depreciated into oblivion. Like they're worth less for all 20 of these houses than one house is just down the road. So that just had to be corrected as far as the record. But again, like,
And
whatever value you guys think should be on
we
here
could,
is
the appraisal review board can put
unrelated to,
what he has
I
to do
put on there.
legally.
and I have spoken to people at, I go to
What a
courses, we have
Gosh.
use path courses that are taught by people that were some of the original chief appraisers that helped to, people that were at the Mass Appraisal Institute, that drafted the definitions of market value for the state of Texas. And I've spoken to these people, attorneys, and asked them about specifically this, and as it relates to this and the boat storages. And this is where we're at, is
Why don't you do these on the income approach? I don't understand.
well, we're not going to do them on the income approach for two reasons. One is they're long-term rentals, and we're not doing long-term rentals on an income basis. We have no intention of doing that because everybody's house could be a long-term rental. Any home could be a long-term rental. And if you did that, everybody's home would be an income valuation. The other thing is, the reality is all the money that's being spent on this property is not actually an allowable expense. The reason being, every dollar that gets paid into debt service or into repairing these buildings is added as equity for the business. So from a purely financial standpoint, this thing's value is about 1.1 million from its income, a pure income basis as it sits right now, based on how much money it makes right now. But I don't think that's the correct method to appraise this property. I really don't. I think the best thing to do is essentially the bare minimum the law requires, because it's we're off the reservation as far as, I mean, part of an income valuation for a property like this would assume that they own the land. If you have a hotel and your hotel's completely in the red,
So
you can always
said
sell the
it
land
couldn't
in the building.
accommodate.
But this doesn't even adjust for that. So you're just in some hypothetical thing. So anyways, I'm just explaining where we're at. Whatever number y'all put on it is whatever number you.
The appraisal review
That's
board.
the end of your time. Do you have 1 minute for closing?
Right, I'll just say the long-term rentals doesn't make sense because tax code section 23.012 specifically states that the income approach is used for retail properties, office buildings, and apartments. And apartments may only be for 1-year leases, which is typically what these are, but retail properties are much longer. My closing argument is that the tax appraisal district under the tax code has the burden of proof. It has the burden of proof that proving these houses are worth $1,073,000. I don't think they've come anywhere close to that. I think, in fact, we've proven that the value should be somewhere between 327 and 163. I want to just tell you who I am. I am a real estate lawyer. I have been coming to Rockport since 1958. I love the place. If I were there today, instead of sitting in my desk in Killeen, Texas, I would love to be there. I own a condo in Allegro North that I bought in 1996 because I got tired of paying rent on it 1, 2, or 3 times a year. And I haven't been able to live in it since Hurricane Harvey. It's still being repaired. So I understand the difficulty of getting things repaired. I invited the tax appraisal district to come to an owners meeting a few years ago to present evidence as to why they were valuing virtually totally destroyed condos for what they were, in order to convince 91 other owners that those were fair amounts. I was on a legal advisory committee, and I was largely in charge of convincing 91 other owners that they shouldn't file protest because the taxing entities down there needed the money to rebuild. If they couldn't rebuild Rockport, why were all of us coming down there? So I'm not coming from a standpoint of I don't want the people down there to have taxes. I think my taxes on my condo that I wasn't able to live in 2018, 2019, and 2020, I'm still not living in them. And I didn't protest the valuation, not because I thought they were too high, but because I want the people to have tax dollars. They need them, and I want them to have. The last thing is, you need to know I'm not charging Betty Adams a penny for trying to help her with this. I am an attorney, but I consider myself to be more of a friend of Danny, who was my longtime friend and a great person. I'm sorry.
Can I ask him, and I'm sorry, the thing, it made that noise. What were you said that it should be somewhere in between what and what, just the two numbers?
Well, I know it shouldn't be if 327,550 was a fair figure.
Okay, just give me the two numbers that it should be in between.
$327,550 and $163,780.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, District, you have 1 minute for closing.
The reason that the apartments can be valued on income and houses don't get valued on income, they're different state code. Apartments are state code B1, single family residential homes, even if they're long-term rentals, are A1. So the approach to value is completely different. In fact, low-income housing apartments are required to be valued on income. But the result of valuing a residential home on income would be that you'd basically be saying everyone should move out of their house and rent it because it makes more money than living there. But I just think that if we're going to put a value on them, that, we're required to give it a number that is around what they end up selling for. And
not going to sell it.
And I think that the idea that somebody would be hard pressed to sell something that makes that goes to $100,000 a year for $300,000 is, I don't know. I think it's just going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to have to be the one to get out. It's going to happen, and I'm going to be working here when it does.
Okay, sir, the appraisal review board now has 5 minutes to deliberate, and you can stay right where you are.
Okay, first, they have sworn that there's 9 that are still under repair as of the 1st. I think that needs to be corrected.
I'm sorry, say that again, Mona.
They said that there's still 9 that are under repair as of January 1st, not 5, like the district has on their card.
I think we can take the whole thing into consideration by just granting a reduction in price.
Actually, I mean, because this is such a unique situation, I'm not comfortable with the $1 million, but I'm not comfortable with 163,000 either.
No, neither am I. No.
Any of us are, but we need to establish where we think we would be comfortable with that price being.
And Mr. Roberts said that they're comfortable with the land value like it is. So I think the land value should stay where it is.
I'm kind of working off of last year's. I mean, just to kind of give us somewhere.
500,000.
I was kind of thinking somewhere around 500.
That's what I'm thinking of.
For the total or for the improvements?
Just for the improvements.
Okay, I mean, and then the land's only 20,000 on top of it. So could we make it
Right,
500?
and 20,
Okay with 500.
But just 500 or whichever. 500 we're okay with, but if you feel strong.
I like 520.
All right, so
I
some,
mean, 519.80, 519,800. Sorry.
Sorry, how much? What'd you
Huh?
say?
519,800.
Right.
Somebody make a motion. I can't.
You want to make a motion, Mona, or you want me to do it?
I'll let you do it, Kathy.
Regarding account 44406, and I'm not sure which all Qs were, because it's dropped off here. Do we have a record?
It
I know
shows
we're
Q1, Q2, and Q14. But the Q14, we've already checked on
The
that.
protest form includes incorrect appraised market value, values unequal compared to other properties, and incorrect damage assessment rating for a property qualified for a temporary disaster.
We've already addressed
We've
that.
already addressed that in a prior hearing.
All right, so then in taking into consideration the incorrect appraised market value, appraisal ratio exceeding the median level of appraisal, between the information that's provided by the district and the information that is provided by the protesters' agent, we have determined that we would leave the property at 19,800 and change the total value of the property to 519,800.
Oh, I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the motion passed. So, Mr. Roberts, you heard that total?
I did.
Okay, and obviously, of course, a copy of that value and a letter with the survey, and also information on how to pursue this further should you wish to, will come to the mailing address on record here at the district.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this hearing is now closed.
May I,
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
before we leave, may I ask one more question?
Sure.
Are you related to Bill?
Yeah,
Bill LeBlanc?
I'm
No,
sorry.
Bill,
no, I'm not related.
I'm talking about Cindy. Is Cindy related
Oh.
to Bill?
Oh.
he's my husband.
Are you admitting to that under oath or just admitting?
No, but I'm going to tell him that you said I wasn't a pretty blonde.
No, you need to tell him I never got to see you. If you want to stand up and walk to the middle of the room and let me see what you look like, I'll make a comment.
No, I'm the person at the table.
Oh, you're over there by the door. Oh, well, you're a beautiful blonde too. Are you as good a tennis player as he is?
Okay, so should I tell my husband that you said hello?
You should tell your husband I said hello.
Okay.
Tell him I'm jealous that I had to spend the afternoon with you instead of fishing with him or playing tennis with him.
Oh, darn it. I know. All right. Well, we'll do that.
I thank you all for your time.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Robert.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Next one is 1499, and she is on the phone. Yeah, for lesser.
You ready?
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, hi, this is Mary Lesser.
Hi, Mary. How are you today?
Good, how are you guys?
Good. If you hold on, we'll get our stuff together and we'll be right with you.
All right.
We have some paperwork and we just, when we open a hearing, we have to do. Okay, 1499. Are y'all all ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So I am opening up case number 2020-1499, and it is account number 63621. This is on an address of 1510 South Pearl Street in Rockport. I just wanted to make you aware, ma'am, that this hearing is being recorded. We are the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protest today. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience, and the information on how to fill out the survey several different ways will be in your written information that you receive in the mail. The survey is totally voluntary. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. In accordance with Tax Code Section 41.45H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. So have you given us everything that you plan on using to prove your point?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am? Okay.
Yes.
Very good. All right. The ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest, and we are in the process of signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Cindy Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Ramona LeBlanc, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F, and am signing to that effect, and I'm physically located in Texas.
I, Elizabeth Garazi, am notarizing Ramona's signature. I also am located in
I, Bloomberg, always swear or affirm that the testimony I shall present, appraisal review board, county appraisal district, is correct.
Ma'am, we have your affidavit and on file. And so all testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. And because we have your affidavit, we're assuming that you also will be giving testimony under oath, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Also, you know, there's a sheet that came, you got a packet of information from the appraisal district, right?
Yes.
Okay. In that packet, there's a sheet and it had some time limits, like it said, you know, presentation 5 minutes, cross-examine 2 minutes. Do you remember that sheet?
Yes.
Good. In this case, you get to choose. Either you go first or the district goes first, but it's totally your choice. Which would you like?
I'll go first. I actually put an attachment in that pretty much, you know, views my opinion of the value, but yeah, I can read that, or you guys can look at it, either one.
Go ahead.
No, Ramona, hold on. We've got to wait, what, 5 minutes?
Well, we just have to wait for them to get the evidence in. It's not in yet.
We don't have a-
They're scanning it.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't realize. Somehow I didn't even hear you say that. I'm so sorry.
My internet connection. Now.
Mary,
Yes.
They'll have internet problems.
Mary, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Just a few minutes. Yes, because they're having to scan in the information that you submitted, okay?
Okay, great.
That looks like getting off
No, you're not. Oh, no. We're not allowing that.
Yeah, I need to check.
You got 'em. You'll tell me when it's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are good energy. Did you eat some?
Uh-uh.
You want some?
Oh,
They're all good.
more candy.
Okay, good.
Yeah, my she's just calculating. Yeah, because I don't have it yet. So
Oh, oh, there.
I've got it.
okay, yeah, I can do it.
Hold up.
I can see it on your tablet.
This is a,
What street is that? I know this is probably.
First.
What?
First Street.
That's First Street?
Uh-huh.
okay. All right, Ramona, you ready? It should have
I'm ready.
popped
I'm
up.
just letting-
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
I
so
got it.
ma'am,
Yes,
Mary?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm opening the hearing on, okay, so, did you want the district to go first or you to go first?
Well, I can go first. That way you guys can tell me if I've made some mistakes in my math.
Go ahead.
ma'am. Go ahead.
You have 5 minutes to present. So
Okay.
tell us
did
what
you-
to look at or whatever.
Okay. I
We
sent,
have all your,
right. Do you see the backup notes I sent?
Yes, ma'am, we got them.
Did you want me to go over that, or you guys want to take a look at it, or?
Just kind of give us
You need-
I'm looking at it now, but you tell us all about it.
Okay. I'm primarily contesting the land value. The little house that's on the property, it would probably be a tear down if it was sold. But I think that property value is kind of over the market value just by talking to a realtor friend. I don't have anything documented by her, but just due to the hurricane, the pandemic now, and this property it's not on South Pearl that's near town. It's on a separate little dead end street. We've got 2 subsidized housing projects within a few blocks east and west of this. And like I said in my note, while I know this is necessary, we're experiencing a high level of crime. I think, and it does decrease the property value, I believe. And when I purchased the property, I did not know that they were there. Should have done my homework, but it's very costly to have city sewer added to the property. And I called in on another property I have on First Street a couple years ago and talked to an appraiser, and they said that they were kind of starting at Water Street and coming west with their reviews of the, property values. And back then, several years ago, yes, I think they were very low. And they said they were working their way up. Well, I assumed that they had hit this little piece of Pearl Street last year, because last year increased the total property value 42%. I'm sorry, 32%. This year, you're proposing 42%. The land alone in 2018 was 11,500, which is low. 2019, 17,250 was a 50% increase, and 2020 is 35,940, which it over doubled. Which I don't know. I know there's a lot of places on the market and they are selling, but from my friends, what she's told me, the realtor, that they're having to lower their price on almost everything. I just think that it's very high, and the comps, which the appraisal district certainly sends out comprehensive info, which I appreciate, but a lot of the comps were on property east or closer to the water, like Magnolia, Live Oak, and even Church. This is a kind of total different neighborhood where this is. And I attached some of the square footages. We're at $6.25, but the ones that are like on Young or Hackberry or South Ann Street, or a lot of them are, most of them are at $3 a foot. And the exact square foot property is right across the street from this address. And it's, the ID is 70599. It's 1505 South Pearl. And it's been taxed at $11,500, the land, for many years, and it did not go up in 2018, 19, or 20. So I guess that's my point of view.
Okay, do you have anything else you want to add regarding your evidence? Mary?
Yes. Hello?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to it?
No, I think that's all. I sent some of the, well, you guys already sent it to me, but I sent it back indicating where most of the properties were $3 a square foot, not $6.25 in this area.
Okay, then we'll let the, do you want to add something else?
No, sir, I think that's all.
The district has 2 minutes to cross-examine, 5 minutes for their presentation.
Okay. So the property is 63621, single-family residential home on Pearl Street. We would know it's on Pearl Street so far down here, just off Church and First. Home was built in 1963, has an effective age of 1973. The notice value for 2020 appears to be $6,707. The sales rate shows the sales of a property on Young Street, South Pearl Street, and South Pearl Street. Just sales in this neighborhood, which is a 3SS. And the one on Young Street is a 2SS. The subject is what's called a 2VS. So it's the same class, just slightly different siding material. And the median indicated value for the sales, which the sales were for 55,800, 110,000, and 209,000 for a much nicer home. The indicated value for the subject is 74,162. It's just a house in South Rockport. That whole area got neighborhood adjustments this year. The land got worked, the improvements got worked. They're just, the neighborhood is appreciating very rapidly, top to bottom. Equity grid shows other similar properties that are in the South Central Rockport area. And it's, median indicated value is 75,656. Our sales ratio is probably South Rockport is you're at 97.5% and a weighted average of 97.7. So we're about 3% light in this South Rockport area. We'll see if the growth continues or if it sort of evens out over time. This neighborhood used to be not nearly as nice as across Third Street, but it's gentrifying. It's genuinely gentrifying in the last several years. So home values are going up. And I would say that from my experience, $80,000 is way below what this thing is actually worth. I understand it's only 600 square feet, but this feels low, even the fact that it's livable. I wasn't even sure that was the actual market value.
Yeah, that's what it
Okay. Oh, no. That's all great.
Mary, you have 2 minutes to cross-examine and 2 minutes for rebuttal, so 4 minutes. If you have other questions you'd like to ask of Eamon.
Yeah, sorry, you guys are cutting out. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know they are.
Well,
She said you have 2 minutes to cross.
okay, I guess
You
the
have 4
only thing
minutes.
I have to add is why is the exact same parcel of land across the street valued at $11,500 when mine is at $35,940? That's what I don't get. That's what, well, that and other places are the land value is $3 a foot, and mine is $625. But I understand the area is I guess it's gotten a few more houses, little houses on it. I understand that South Rockport is getting better, but like I said, we have homeless people across the street living. The cops have to come and get them out. It's still not, I would say, not the best place to live, but I'm sorry.
Like us to look at that property across the street.
70599.
Thank you. Ask her.
Mary, we're going to check the property across the street from you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. What's the 25, 55%.
Which one are you looking at?
One across from
The 1505?
one up on top of hers. There is 625.
What was the other one? The other one 625?
Yeah. It was the same thing.
How's it just a different?
I think it's 1505 South Pearl, I believe, is the address.
We got the numbers on here.
Oh. Make sure that we're looking at the one that she's talking about. That if whatever.
It's a vacant lot.
But ask her which one she's talking about had the lower value per square
I
foot.
wrote it down and she said 70599.
That is an ARB value. Yeah. This
So
it's on the. They were noticed the same. They were on the same land schedule. It's 625 a square foot. This whole area, everything you see on this picture, 25 a foot.
The land
Yeah,
behind
it was
her at
an ARB,
268.
so it just rolled for this year.
Okay, and Eamon, can you point, I'm sorry, I
Sure.
don't understand. I'm so sorry.
You know where it is, or?
I don't know which
Mary,
one it is.
Did you understand what he said?
Right,
Uh,
but where's the one? Well, but that's a lot bigger.
Well, it's still 625 a foot.
Okay, it was,
It's just that this year it's carrying the ARB value from last year,
which is,
$11,500. I have no idea why that is, but the reason that inequity exists is because it's not our number.
so
This
what's
is all
the,
625 a foot.
so what's the one, you know for a fact, 1505 South
So I
Pearl?
can still see the schedule for this. This is on 625 a foot, just like the subject. Just on the. It's on
No,
the-
that one, I believe it's the exact same square footage for the lot as this one.
Amen.
It's the one that she was.
Amen.
Yeah, what's up?
She could not hear you when you were talking about the value on that property, 70599. So she did, because neither one of us could hear you.
Oh, that the value of that property across the street was put on last year by the appraisal review board for I don't know what reason. There's something going on, but that's not the market value that we would put on it. It's 625 a foot, just like everybody else on the street.
And the property
So,
behind her, is that 625 as well?
The one behind her may be more because it has frontage, but let's check.
26802.
Yeah, that's on Church Street. So
Yeah.
I still don't understand why that lot on right across the street, the exact same square footage, 5750, as this property, and its 2020 appraisal value, and I think since 2011 has never been increased. It's at 11,500. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because last year, the owner of that property brought in some sort of information to the appraisal board, and for whatever reason, we lowered the value. That value stays on for 2 years. Now, next year, it'll roll off, and he'll be assessed at the same as yours.
Well, then why did mine roll up every single year?
Because you don't come in and like today, you're coming into the board and you're bringing in information to tell us about your property.
The reason it keeps going up year over year is because we need to get to market value on your property. We need our value, our model, when we draw a model for South Rockport and we create all the little things we use here to value and measure property, we need it to spit out a number that's actually what your house is worth. Right now, it's only spitting out $60,000. We're off by about 50%. Your house is half of what it should be. It's just worth double what we have on it. So we're going to have to continue to work to get our model to do better and better until it gets up. It would be much better if this property said 120,000 this year. It would be much better. But we
yeah,
can't.
for the appraisal district, for the tax district, yeah. Not for sales or.
I mean, you can look at what is on the market for $60,000 and it's all vacant land. There's literally nothing for $60,000 anywhere in the county that's a house. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So the days of this being $60,000 are long gone. Your house is, you're in $120,000 worth of house. I mean, that's the reality. We're only assessing your taxes at a market value of 60,000 because we have to have data to prove this stuff. We have to do it fairly. We have all these things. We can't just say, look, I know it's worth this, so I'm just going to slap a number on it. So over time, we're going to try and get it to do better and better. But the reason it's creeping up is because you're so far behind. You're being taxed on half of what your house is worth. There's somebody else living in a house that's paying twice as much taxes. I'm saying there's other people living in a house that's exactly like yours, and they're paying twice as much taxes because theirs are at market value and yours is at half. You're just undervalued.
Okay. Well, I think the land is way overvalued, and the house, like I said, if somebody bought it, it would be a tear down.
Okay, so,
Would that I could.
I'm not sure where we are now. I think.
So are all these other $3 a square foot land values are all around me? Are they going to go up to 625? And why aren't they at 625?
Yes. The answer is yes. It's temporary.
But I have to pay it before them.
Everybody's paying it at the same time. There's one guy who has some abnormal number, but it's temporary.
No,
Okay,
but I'm
Ms.
saying,
Mayor?
I'm sorry, what?
Eamon, can you bring up 59629? It's on one of her evidence things, and it says $3 a square foot. It's in South Rockport neighborhood as well. So let's see what the value on that land is as well.
It is
Where is it?
$3 a square foot.
Where is it?
South Rockport.
There's a lot of
It's on Young Street.
This one's on East Hackberry, the number I gave you.
Scroll out a little bit.
Oh my God.
And it's in the neighborhood of South Rockport. So I'm curious why.
Okay, where is she? Well, she's just over 2 streets.
Where's first?
First is here. Oh, I can't see now.
First is that way.
Hold on.
See, and here's Pearl, and there's 70.
Yeah, she had it.
I know.
No,
I
it's good,
can't
it's good.
see it. Oh.
There's Hackberry.
That's further into the neighborhood. It's further, so what's happening is, like I said, this neighborhood's gentrifying. It's increasing in value. Up on the water on Water Street has been high value for a long time. That value and the nicer houses and the higher prices is creeping out towards Church Street. Since the hurricane, it's made its way across Church Street, and it's going through that whole thing. And within a couple of years, this stuff is all going to be high valued property all the way to 35 business.
Eamon, I don't understand because they're in the same neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
coded the same.
our land values are small. Our tables are smaller than neighborhoods. Our land values are really, really granular. That's what I was saying. Our district spends an abnormal amount of time getting land values very precise. Most districts will do land values in a much more broad slapstick way. But here, for whatever reason, for the last 20 years, land value has been scrutinized street by street, block by block. The land tables are very tiny in some places. And so this, as soon as we see sales indicating that this value increase effect, this neighborhood appreciation is working its way down, those will go up as well. But it's broken up. Even the land tables here, again, are smaller than the neighborhoods. It's on its way up. And it does need to continue going up. We just need to see some sales that show it to us, because those people aren't gonna be happy when they find out their $3 land is $6 land. But we just need the data to show that that's happening. So that it just hasn't made its way down there yet, but it's going to. It's on its way up.
Okay, I'm not sure where we are on time, but.
Let them do their closing.
I think, Mary, I give you 1 minute in closing, and the district has 1 minute in closing. Or anything else you want to add, Mary?
Not really. I'm just disappointed that my land seems to be more valuable than the others, but I understand working from Water Street. That's what they told me when I talked to them about my house price on First Street going way up a couple of years ago. But the thing is, it just keeps going up, and I don't see these other places. Like I sent back 6 or 8. They were all at $3 a foot, and they're real near here. Some of them are on South Ann Street, which is the next street. But even across the street, that didn't go up. So I guess I don't have anything else to add. No, thank you.
I want to look at that 1505 when we're done.
In closing, I just want to say that a year before the hurricane, market values were just appreciating, and our sales ratio reports were showing all of our property was low. It was before the hurricane. So we're just seeing the market grow. And the solution for that here was 1% was added to every property in the entire country. The whole county, 1%. Top to bottom. And that said, market appreciation, boom, 1%. We're trying not to do things that way. We're trying to track this growth as it's actually happening. You know, places closer to 35 are probably worth more than we have on them, especially considering hers is only at $60,000. And anybody sells this house for anything close to market value, and it's just going to show up as a terrible number on the MLS. It's going to have an MLS number on there, and we're going to be at 60% of the sale or 50% of the sale. So I just think we're low. And we're not coming after your house especially. You know, you should know that. You're being treated the same as everybody else. There's no special adjustment on your property.
Okay, ARB has 5 minutes to deliberate.
Please, may we look at 1505? Oh my God. I want to see if it has a $3, because she said,
Yes, sure. I think we just did.
Didn't we just
no,
look
we
at
didn't.
that?
That was
Just do it again.
the bigger piece of, well, okay, if it's the bigger piece of property, then don't do it.
No.
Because she said that
She mentioned 15.
somebody was
You don't have to open it.
the same price was $3. That was like right there by her.
No, she said it had been at the same land value for 3 years.
That's the one.
No,
ARB decision.
what?
And that's
For many years, actually.
the subject is like up here, and the one that's $3 is down here. And the land values have gone up here, here, and here, and they're just slowly going up.
No. She said the one across the street or whatever, that
We can look at the one across
1505.
It's the ARB one.
That's the ARB value.
We've looked at it. It was the ARB.
ARB value.
So that isn't that bigger piece of property.
It is not. But if you go to land,
Okay.
We already looked at it.
and then you go to the residential, and you go to market value, it's on the same land scale. 625. So next year that ARB value comes out. It's 625. If you look at their neighbor's 625. The other one on
And
the
is the
block,
are all the neighbors,
It's
did they
625.
get ARB?
No,
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 look.
no.
35,940. Keep going.
They're all at 625, Cindy.
Okay.
No, they're just on land table.
Ramona, what would you like to do?
I know what I would like to do, but she is being treated equitably with all of her neighbors. The one that is directly across from her was an appraisal board decision last year. So that, I mean, next year it will look the same as hers, but everybody else around her is being treated the same.
Correct. I think that the district has shown that her house at 60,770 would be a steal. Basically, it's way below the sales that we're only dealing with the median level of appraisal, by the way. At least that's what I have.
Right.
Correct.
That's what I thought.
In any case, she's well below the median sales and equity values. So, I mean, I would be in favor of leaving it at the 60,770.
Somebody make a motion. Please.
Make a motion regarding account number 63621, that in addressing appraisal ratio exceeding the median level of appraisal, that the district has shown that both sales and equity, this property is substantially below those values, and therefore would recommend leaving it at the 60,770.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Motion passed. So, did you hear what they said, Mary?
Yes.
Okay. So, you will receive something in the mail, which, reiterates the decision that was made today. And there will be information in the envelope too about what you do if you wish to pursue it further. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
So much. This hearing
Just
is
kidding.
closed.
No, it's okay.